He said new management instructed him to inject falsehoods and bias into politically sensitive stories. He said politicians were invited to choose their own interviewers. He said the entire program came within 19 minutes of not getting on air, and then he was fired after 37 years. Scott Pelley just went public with one of the most explosive statements in the history of American broadcast journalism. Here is everything that happened. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. The implosion at 60 Minutes just reached a level that nobody in the industry expected to see play out this publicly. Scott Pelley, one of the most respected journalists in American television history, a 37-year CBS veteran, was fired on Tuesday after clashing with the network's new management. The following morning, he released a public statement accusing CBS's new leadership of instructing him to insert falsehoods into his reporting, silencing journalists who stood up for integrity, and fundamentally destroying what made 60 Minutes one of the most trusted names in news. This story is enormous. Let's break down every detail. Scott Pelley has been with CBS News since 1989 and joined 60 Minutes specifically in 2004. He is not a peripheral figure. He is one of the defining voices of the program and of American broadcast journalism more broadly. His termination came on Tuesday after tensions that had been building for weeks finally exploded during a heated internal meeting on Monday. The meeting involved the show's newly appointed executive editor Nick Bilton and another CBS News executive. Pelley used the meeting to directly confront Bari Weiss, the opinion commentator who CBS News appointed as editor-in-chief last October, and the confrontation was not subtle. According to reporting first published by The Guardian, Pelley said directly in that meeting that Weiss was murdering 60 Minutes. He said she does not love the place, that she was brought in to kill it, and that she is doing exactly that. The following day, Bilton informed Pelley of his termination in a written message, citing Pelley's conduct in the meeting as the reason, specifically calling out what he described as remarkable incivility and contempt. The morning after his firing, Pelley released a lengthy public statement on social media, and the specificity of his accusations is what makes it so significant and so damaging to CBS's current leadership. He described 60 Minutes as the #1 program in America for decades, precisely because audiences find integrity, quality, and humanity in its stories. Then he turned directly to what he says has happened under new ownership. He accused the new leadership of casting the program's legend aside, apparently to curry favor with the Trump administration, a direct charge that CBS's parent company, Paramount, is sacrificing journalistic independence for political access. He then laid out specific allegations. He said new management instructed him to inject falsehoods into a politically sensitive story, and that he was told to include assertions that are unverified. He said that in every case so far, he managed to ignore those instructions or refuse them. He did not name the specific story or specify what the falsehoods were, but the accusation itself that a major news organization's management is directing a correspondent to include unverified information in reporting is an extraordinary charge. He also alleged that politicians were invited to choose their own correspondents for interviews on the broadcast. That is a fundamental violation of journalistic independence, the idea that the subject of an interview gets to select who asks them questions. Pelley described it simply: giving politicians control over 60 Minutes is not how this is done. And then he revealed a specific operational failure that he said nearly destroyed an entire episode. He said in one case involving one of his stories, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management brought the entire program within 19 minutes of not getting on air at all. Pelley's firing did not happen in isolation. It came just days after CBS News management had already stunned staffers by firing the network's executive producer, executive editor, and 2 other on-air correspondents, all without giving specific reasons. That earlier purge set the stage for the confrontation that led to Pelley's termination. In his statement, Pelley described that earlier wave of firings as 60 Minutes losing its DNA. He said the entire senior leadership and two of the best correspondents were cruelly fired without cause. He said good people were silenced because they stood up for the audience, standing for fairness against political bias and for professionalism against chaos. The pattern he is describing is a systematic dismantling of the editorial independence that has historically defined 60 Minutes. Whether that dismantling is happening by design or through incompetence, or both, is something his statement does not resolve. But the picture he paints is of an institution under deliberate pressure to change what it is and how it operates. Bari Weiss addressed Pelley's termination on the network's internal morning call on Wednesday, in remarks that were recorded and obtained by The Guardian. Her account of what happened and why presents a fundamentally different picture from Pelley's. Weiss said she only wants to work in a newsroom built on trust and mutual respect, and that foundation was broken on Monday, pointing to Pelley's conduct in the meeting as the breaking point. She said the network attempted to engage with Pelley and find a way back from the confrontation, but was unable to do so, and therefore had to part ways. She emphasized that this was the path Pelley chose. Then she acknowledged his contributions, listing specific stories from the past season and calling them unforgettable. The framing of her response positioned Pelley's departure as the result of his own behavior, rather than any editorial disagreement, while Pelley's public statement positioned it as the result of his refusal to compromise journalistic standards. Both accounts cannot be simultaneously fully accurate. The public is left with two dramatically different explanations for the same event from the two central figures involved. This story sits directly inside the broader tension between the Trump administration and major media organizations. Pelley explicitly referenced political pressure, accusing CBS of sacrificing journalistic independence to curry favor with the administration at a moment when Paramount is seeking regulatory approvals. The settlement CBS previously reached in a Trump-related suit over 60 Minutes coverage has already raised questions about editorial independence. Pelley's allegations add a new and more specific layer to those concerns. That is the full story of Scott Pelley's firing and what he's alleging about 60 Minutes. This one is going to keep developing. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.